Brian Hurl. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit with these guys. Josh, obviously you have a long connection. Talk about when you first started making movies up there and how that evolved into this film.
Well, I just grew up with these guys and recognized from an early age they had amazing talent. And I was just sort of like, just following them around town and realized I could never surf like them. So I picked up a video camera and just started following them. And I was just moved by how well they surfed and how we all sort of helped each other out after Rat Boy's dad died. And we would just share surfboards and wetsuits. And just always knew that, one day hopefully I'd be able to tell their story.
And so when did that day come about? I mean, when did you finally say, okay, I'm going to do this now?
Well, luckily my friend Matt Wesson introduced me to Brian Hurl, the executive producer, and we worked together the last 3 years and with Mike DiNicola, and just basically, these guys let me tell the story I wanted to tell, and they just helped pull in everything to just make it a complete story.
And so when they were going through, obviously it must have been exciting to be part of the crew in the good times. What was it like when things started going dark, and did you still have access to them, or how did you work that with them?
Well, it was dark times. Flea had won Mavericks 3 times, and it seemed like we were just gonna be on top of the world. And then he got injured, and he started doing meth, and because he was such a big figure in the community, it really had a negative influence. And the people that just started, following his lead in the whole town really just turned into a dark time. And
yeah, we were worried most of the time that we were going to get a phone call that, Flea wasn't with us anymore, or that, the story was going to have a much different ending. When we started this project, the story didn't have an ending. It was, hey, these guys are pretty cool surfers, and they are. But the story wasn't what it was. It didn't become the redemption deal until just a couple of years ago, and when Flea really did realize that he was over being high and not doing as well and not living his life, and obviously the other guys kind of followed suit, and Vince was doing his thing with getting the drugs out of Santa Cruz, and it was a happy time as a producer to know that my guys would be able to stand up on a stage with me when we premiered this thing, and all of them would be there. We wouldn't have to put RIPs up on the screen.
And so when was the first time that you actually showed it to the guys, and how did that go?
it was, nerve-wracking. I mean, some of the stories that Flea talks about with his dad, and, even Rat Boy, revealing how poor they were, and Barney talking about, mental illness. The first time they saw it, Vince was there too, and I was, obviously scared shitless.
Vince wasn't there until Newport. It was Rufo who asked us to screen it up in Santa Cruz before we did it down in Newport. And so all the guys showed up, and they said, we got to see this thing before you let it out. And so all of us are, Jesus Christ, they want to see this thing, and they're going to freaking give us their notes and tell us what they think is wrong with it, and tell us we effed up their story, and that was kind of a heavy thing. And so we sat them all down, and we made them watch it, and they're a surf tribe. They have a chief, they vote on this stuff. So we showed it to all of them, and there wasn't a dry eye in the house. And I chased down Rufo afterwards and said, hey, what'd you think? It was good. You can put it up. See ya. So it was heavy to show them, and that was like every other screening after that was like, hey, cool, we're gonna have an audience. But for the guys who, we're like, if they don't like it, we're gonna get our butts kicked. So
do you think that they're aware then of the magnitude of their story and their own legacy there in Santa Cruz?
You know, I mean, those guys, we all just live in the moment, especially when you're in Santa Cruz. It's like it's the entire world when you're up there. I don't know if any of you guys have ever been up there, but it's a pretty magical place. And I don't know if they're aware of it, but every time they see it, it's kind of like intense. So just like when I see it, you know, it's like my life in front of me. So it's pretty intense, but.
One of their comments was that those stories aren't stories that they talk about. We were very privileged to get those stories, to hear these parts of these guys' lives and to see those emotions out of those guys. So I think the only time they even get a hint of what the magnitude is when they see it. And even then, it's kind of a very humbled version of the magnitude of what we hope it does for other audiences.